Hello and welcome to Toolmatic's video guide on how to configure the ACS for analog position. Analog position can be configured for 0 to 10 volts or 4 to 20 milliamps. For the motion profile, you must set the velocity, accel decel, and force. Velocity sets the speed at which moves will be executed. Accel and decel is used for all moves. And force is the percentage of max current draw of the drive. In the analog position setup section, you must set the actuator position as it relates to the minimum voltage or amperage, and the same for the maximum position as it relates to the maximum voltage or amperage. The deadband is the minimum change in voltage and amperage needed for drive to create motion. Position update rate changes how quickly the drive responds to voltage and amperage changes. Now let's move on to the demonstration. Once you've connected to the drive, configured the actuator and motor, you can move on to the Mode Select tab into the Toolmatic Motion Interface, or TMI. Here you can select analog position, choose voltage or current, position or velocity. In the I/O tab, you must have Enable and Start Motion configured in order to create motion. Default tabs can be left at their defaults. In this case, safety limits is not something we're going to go over. We can home the drive in preparation for creating motion and move on to the Mode Setup tab. In this Setup tab, you can simulate test analog motion in the use case where you don't currently have an analog input set up to the drive, or we can move on to the full setup section of this. So in this case, we look at the voltage, which is the minimum voltage equals what position. In this case, we want this to be 0. And the maximum voltage, which is 10 volts, is equal to, in this case, the position of 8 inches on our actuator. You hit enter to save that. In the motion profile, in this example, we're just going to use some moderately slow speeds of 6 inches per second with a moderate acceleration of 100 inches per second squared. Now the current 10% is a little low for the drive. If there's not a good reason to limit the current, my recommendation is to start off with 100% current. You've now completed the setup of the analog mode. Let's see what it looks like. You'll notice here I have my I/O box open, which is currently monitoring the analog input to the drive. I can adjust that and it's going to follow. So in this case, because we just come from the home position, to prevent the drive from making motion unexpectedly, we're going to start out with 0 volts effectively, so we do not have motion with the 0-inch move. If we transition, and now I could switch to analog input controlled. A warning pops up letting you know that going to analog input control may result into motion. Now we've already taken steps to eliminate this possibility, and also the enable and start motion is not currently high. So we can enable the start motion, which you can see in the digital I/O, and now start motion is active. Now the drive will respond to changes in the analog signal. And if you look at their webcam view, you can see that as I adjust my analog input, the position of the actuator changes. Now if I want to have it not follow the voltage change as it moves and have it do a complete move without moving, you disable start motion, set the voltage where you need it based on the position you want to go, and hit start motion, and then it'll execute that move. You can do intermittent moves or continued moves. If start motion remains high, the drive will respond to changes in the analog input. If start motion is low, the drive will not respond but then it will move to that position when start motion goes back high. I hope this covers any questions you may have with setting up the ACS drive for analog position mode. Thank you for watching.